Good evening, this is the Oscar Expert here with Brother Bro, and it's time for updated Oscar predictions for October. We're going to do director and screenplay in this video. Start off with the director.
I'm open to the idea that Yorgos Lanthimos could be number one, and I've like toyed with it in my head, but ultimately I think I've fallen back to saying, no, I still think Oppenheimer's got it. It would be a little against my instincts too much, and the fact that we're just going to see an outpouring of support to give him this award.
I mean, look,
even if Poor Things wins Best Picture.
Here's an example for you. 12 Years a Slave won Best Picture, wasn't even that hard for it to win Best Picture, was extraordinarily well directed, and it didn't win because there was just another movie that was more tech-y and winning 6 tech Oscars, and that was Gravity.
But
I think
Poor
Oppenheimer
Things
is Gravity, or it's Gravity plus Best Picture.
Yeah, I think so, but Poor Things, to be fair, also is an insane achievement.
I guess you could say, hey, maybe it's 1917 where everyone thinks that Sam Mendes is going to win, but then it's going to go to Lanthimos. Like, I guess I can see that, but I think that
hasn't
Oppenheimer,
happened a
I feel like
lot.
Oppenheimer's like a bigger thing than 1917.
Yeah.
Scorsese, I don't think he's getting it. I think that's one of the reasons that I think it's hard to see Killers winning Best Picture, is because it doesn't feel like it's necessarily going to win director or screenplay. And then we have Jonathan Glazer. And I want to say this, the one benefit, I guess, of doing these videos like weeks apart this month, which we kind of have been, is I can kind of announce slight changes, and I'm feeling decent about Zone of Interest in Best Picture.
Why? Because the trailer came out?
I don't know if it's the trailer, but I just feel like, the other 2 slots are The Color Purple and Air, and I'm like, I mean, there's definitely a world where The Color Purple doesn't get in, and there's definitely a world where Air doesn't get in. It's like, the Zone of Interest, which even TIFF maintained itself as, one of people's highlights from the festival. It's not like isolating or dividing people in that strong of a way.
If I talk to a random group of like 4 people at a festival, half of them are going to think it's one of the best of the year, and the other are like mixed, or they're just
But they think it's really good. They just don't think
appreciate
it's in their
it, but
top
they
10.
don't love it. And that's a pretty good ratio. And I know these are critics, and we have yet to see, whether this movie could do something at the box office surprising.
No.
Right? I mean, it would be weird. But like, if it's like, oh, this movie holds strong, and like all the cinephiles went to see it.
Yeah, it'll have a good 4 theater opening weekend, but then...
Well, isn't that kind of weird, though? I mean, if the movie's going to do like nothing in terms of dollars, nothing at all.
Women Talking
up?
didn't make a buck.
Okay.
And I think if you're getting director, it's a pretty good bet for Best Picture, don't you think?
Well,
Right?
I think it's a good bet for Best Director whether or not it gets Best Picture. It does depend on the mood of the world, and the mood of the world has shifted in this week. I wonder if that could also make people connect with the movie more. To what extent are we able to humanize or make someone else into animals? Like, people might bring that into this film, and if they, like, the more people do, the more people are going to consider this an important or even monumental film.
Easily top 3 directing achievements of the year.
Yeah.
Easily top 3. I don't see how you could think it's any other way.
The director's branch is going to go for it.
For the 5th slot, I think we are between Alexander Payne and Justine Triet, because I think Anatomy of a Fall is pretty in there for Best Picture. People really like it. People are really digging it.
I do dig Anatomy of a Fall. I do like that movie. I can't wait to see it again.
The reception has only gotten better, it seems. I've also seen more talk about how Justine Triet really did a masterful job and stuff. And the movie is a Cannes contender. All right? It's a Cannes contender. She doesn't have the back catalog that some of these other filmmakers have.
But that's important, though.
Which is
that's
pretty
a good
important.
counter argument.
And last year, what did we see? All Quiet. It was an international film or whatever, but it was technically really well made. And people thought it would get in because it's international, and it didn't. I would not have a hard time seeing her get in, but I have a hard time seeing Alexander Payne miss out. You know what I'm saying?
Perhaps.
Because some people are like, Alexander Payne, the director's branch is beyond that. They love to snub Aaron Sorkin for Chicago 7.
It's not that.
It's not that. Payne gets nominated for everything that's in Best Picture.
And this film might be his most technically well done, technically robust.
Yeah.
There's a very cozy feel that, nestles into your brain. The tribute to films of that era, like, it's so obvious.
Yeah. I also believe that this movie is in the top 5 for Best Picture. Yeah. And so I want to put this in. I don't think Anatomy of a 5 is a top 5er. I don't think it...
I don't know about Anatomy of a Fall or not. Like, I would like Justine Triet to get nominated. Okay, I'll say that. I'm for the nomination. But the other one I want to consider is Greta Gerwig. And I know we want to just say she's pushed out and just make it a little easier. But I do wonder if people are going to come away at the end of the year being like, Barbie is a top 5 film.
Well, I think it is going to be in the top 5. So was Dune.
And we can't ignore Greta Gerwig behind the camera. And they just sing a song about it.
Yeah, they can sing a song about it. They sang a song about Little Women, too. A lot of people were really convinced that she would get nominated.
Little Women's hard to compare because Barbie was so much bigger. Little Women just eked it out at the last minute.
But here's the thing.
It barely came out in time for the Oscars.
But at the same time, Barbie, while it is clearly like a vision, it's kind of shot like a studio film. Them snubbing like Ridley Scott for The Martian and Denis Villeneuve for Dune, I feel like maybe they think that movie's a little too mainstream and they don't respect it on like a deep level in that way. They don't get to rub their index and middle finger against their thumb when they think about that movie.
I still think the love for Barbie is going to translate at the Oscars. So
I think I'm
not sure that would be the reason she doesn't get it. I think it might just be the brute force of competition where pain, leapfrogs over.
Greta Gerwig is going to get DGA and Golden Globe and Critics' Choice. Glazer's not going to get Golden Globe and DGA.
Oh, I see.
She's going to be in there, and then Glazer's going to take her out.
So Glazer's the leapfrog.
But in a sense, we all know that's going to happen.
Yeah, because the director's branch is a little different than the other awards bodies. Yeah.
But I think Justine Trier's closer.
You think so, though? Because I still take stock in the fact that we didn't nominate All Quiet for a director. We nominated Triangle of Sadness for a director because Ruben Östlund was a bigger name and somebody who has 2 previous films that were very acclaimed. If people knew what she was about before Anatomy of a Fall, she would have a better shot. I am tempted to just say Pain, but I do want to consider Gerwig.
And Celine Song, I think, in a normal year, she might have a decent, easy time getting in because that movie was really, really well directed. Yeah. And that's something you remember from it is that it has a very strong voice, it's very well assembled, well crafted. And yet, this movie doesn't feel like it's quite top 5 anymore. It's not getting as many nominations across the board as some of these other movies. At the same time, I wouldn't say she's out. Every A24 movie nominated for Best Picture so far has been nominated in Best Director. And then you have Bradley Cooper for Maestro, who is said to have stepped up his game visually. Yeah. But the movie is like slightly less acclaimed than Star is Born. So even though that may be the case, that it is like maybe more well crafted or something, I still think he's going to miss director.
Yeah.
But maybe he gets like DGA. He could be a little close. Because that movie is stylish. Hard to say anybody has a shot outside of there, honestly. I really don't know if you can speculate much on anybody. All right, original screenplay. I think Barbie can win. I still feel like when I look at, the Holdovers and Past... I mean, what's the biggest Best Picture contender here? It's either Barbie or The Holdovers. Past Lives...
Lives.
Maybe is still in there.
I think Past Lives is still in there.
I mean, if Women Talking can win...
I don't know if Holdovers is going to win screenplay for this movie.
Well, I don't think so either. I don't really see why they'd
So I honestly do wonder if it's between Barbie and Past Lives. Because
fair.
Past Lives has a screenplay that is easy to see winning an Oscar, in a sense. Memorable dialogue, balanced characters. Maybe not everybody appreciates it like that, but ultimately, Barbie is the more fun choice to go for here.
Barbie also, like, the fact that you can give an Oscar to Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach in the same day, have them give the speech, like, I think that's pretty compelling.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty compelling. They're both filmmakers that are considered somewhat overdue for winning.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's a pretty good deal. And it'd be interesting, you might get Nolan winning director, Gerwig winning screenplay, you get the Barbenheimer, they're both holding Oscars for their movie. I think Barbie's going to play really well to the Academy. Like, I've heard things so far that, like, they enjoy the movie a lot. And there's no case of it being a thing where they're like, Barbie, the toy movie. That's out the window. It's long gone. It flew away. And that movie has wit, charm, originality, memorable dialogue, memorable lines. Give it the Oscar.
Yeah.
That or Past Lives. Give it the Oscar.
Yeah. And Holdovers has a great screenplay, I think. But yeah, I don't know. The Holdovers is maybe a little harder to see as people's #1 favorite movie of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think people who think The Holdovers is a threat to win, it's like, I don't really... I know what you're trying to say, but I don't really think so. I think they also like giving it to auteurs in the screenplay category. Anatomy of a Fall, I think, should be locked for screenplay.
That screenplay is insanely strong. I don't think there's any way this doesn't get nominated.
I think it's absolutely in.
I hope critics give it some awards to shake it up.
They might.
I really do.
If you think about it, it's like maybe the most critic-friendly of the bunch, except for maybe Past Lives or something. I don't think critics are going to give the award to Barbie.
Yeah.
Barbie's going to have to win like WGA. Maybe Critics' Choice, honestly. Barbie can win. And then you have this slot. It's very hard. Very hard for me. I don't really know if I agree with the decision we made last 2 weeks ago to put Aaron picture. Like, I just don't know if I agree with that or not.
Sure.
But
You're going to feel that way all year.
well, we've
all
always thought that
season.
Air could get a lone screenplay nomination. At the same time, you know, maybe Air getting screenplay is like Steve Jobs getting screenplay. It just won't. If you don't do Air, you got to do either Maestro or May December. Now, May December, yeah, a lot of people believe in it getting nominated for screenplay. Would be worthy. One of the best movies this year.
absolutely. I think it's a thing. The screenplay does feel like it's a standalone achievement, regardless of your thoughts and feelings on the film. Even if you're like a 7 or an 8 out of 10, I could see you still thinking the screenplay was great and worthy of a nomination. Kind of like The Lost Daughter in a sense.
I think that it might be one of those movies that just gets nearly shut out, or like maybe an actor. It might be a little lost on the Academy.
Yeah.
And not even make it into screenplay in favor of something that's a little more likely to get into Best Picture. And we kind of both agree that May December is not going to get into Best Picture.
Yeah, I don't think
and
so.
Maestro and Air are more likely. The Theory of Everything got nominated for screenplay. There's like not like a reason to do that, except for you just like the movie generally.
I guess so.
And that might be enough for them to nominate Maestro, honestly. The fact that it might be...
I mean, do people have a bone to pick about the screenplay? Do people say, oh yeah, everything's great about the movie, the script's not so good, but everything else is good?
Yeah, I've seen...
Because that's what people say about Elvis, and that still didn't get nominated.
I think I have heard that it is a little bit of a weak link. Maybe people don't love the story, or people think that there's not that much depth to it. And that does make me weary. Maybe I'll just go with Maestro. It just might be
Really?
like a thing that happens, and it's like, okay,
Maybe.
okay, whatever.
But you know how that happens? Like, okay, here's some examples. Joker and Dune, people didn't see those as screenplay films, and then they just started getting nominations.
So what are
and
you?
people
You're saying that that's
accepted it.
Maestro?
I'm saying, is that Maestro? And
Well,
then films that
yeah.
get into Best Picture that don't get Best Screenplay, Bohemian Rhapsody, Elvis, it's the same movie.
Mank is one example. There's
that
not
was
that
weird,
many
though.
though. Like, your best bet's probably to go with the Best Picture nominees. Even
Well-
Top Gun got a screenplay.
Well, look, if Air is in Best Picture, it's in Best Screenplay.
Adapted screenplay. People who think Killers is winning. There's a lot of people who think Killers is winning. What do I have to say about that? Well, I think that it just doesn't make that much sense to me. I guess you can give it to Martin Scorsese. I just don't see the urgency to award that movie in screenplay when it's really like the directing and performances and crafts of people. I mean, yeah, the script is obviously good enough to hold a good movie together, but it's not like the dialogue is like the thing. I think I see Poor Things
Poor
as
Things is
being
it.
much more
I
of a
think that's
screenplay winner because the dialogue is witty, original, funny. A lot of Emma Stone stuff. Like the way that Emma Stone's character speaks.
Yeah, I mean, the whole movie, every character has their own speaking style. Think about Willem Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo's characters.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's Poor Things. I really do.
Yeah.
That's why Poor Things can win Best Picture. Because it's not just Emma Stone that can win an Oscar. It's the screenplay. And then there you go. Acting award, screenplay award. You can win Best Picture. Oppenheimer, I don't buy it for winning screenplay. I think all of the attention is going to go to Nolan in director.
Oppenheimer is a screenplay movie in that it's very smart. It packs a lot of information in.
Yeah.
But
And it
I don't
cuts
think
between different stories.
I don't think you can truly say it has like the best dialogue. I mean, maybe some parts are really
It's a little
good.
cheesy.
Yeah, but that's like
all
that's like
Nolan's
Nolan's
films are a little
style.
corny.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
They like comedies. They really do. I mean, look at Jojo Rabbit. They like comedies and Poor Things. And also, they like
gonna happen.
original, like seeming films. And Poor Things bursts with
It's gonna
originality.
happen. If Poor Things wins, it'll be one of the only years in recent memory where the writer did not direct the movie.
People also know who Tony McNamara is, though.
It's not like we have to adhere to this trend. I'm just pointing it out. It's kind of interesting. Whatever wins original screenplay is going to be a writer-director, unless The Holdovers wins.
That's why The Holdovers isn't winning.
Yeah, I know.
Now, look, recently American Fiction just won the Middleburg Audience Festival Award. It also beat The Holdovers, very much like what happened at TIFF. I mean, at this point, that's pretty goddamn good to win 2 audience awards, and that might get into Best Picture. So we would have this in screenplay no matter what. But the other thing I was thinking is, I recently learned that Poor Things may not be eligible for WGA. So, a lot of people would say, well, congrats Killers on winning, WGA or congrats
Oppenheimer.
Nolan or whatever you'd like
Yeah.
to say. Don't you think it would make sense if the WGA gave American Fiction adapted screenplay?
It's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
It might get a SAG nomination for either Ensemble or Jeffrey Wright. I agree. I think American Fiction will win WGA, even though Killers and Oppenheimer are in that category, because it feels like more of a screenplay movie.
The other two are like directing tech things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think that the Writers Guild likes that kind of thing. They like the satire, they like the witty dialogue. A lot of writers are into comedy. And that's clear. The Writers Guild and their decisions that they've made recent years, Eighth Grade winning.
Can You Ever Forgive Me?
And Borat 2.
Yep. And those are all movies that didn't get nominated for Best Picture, and American Fiction has a better chance than those.
Right, and it's very righty. It's very righty.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Does that put it at number 2 for screenplay at the Oscars?
Why the fuck not, honestly? Because if it gets into Best Picture, it is in winning contention for screenplay.
It's crazy.
It
though, 'cause
has
you're-
that sort of vibe of like a screenplay winner of an original film.
He's also a writer-director. And it honestly makes me, you know, have a little domino effect in my head. Okay, Jeffrey Wright gonna get in, the movie gonna get into picture, the movie gonna get into editing. Like, I just, you know, little
I
domino
mean, the
effect
fact
going
that
on.
Poor Things is ineligible for WGA starts a domino
No, it's
chain.
like also that it won Middleburg Film Festival.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that it's winning these
And also
it
the trailers came out and they look pretty nice.
I could put American Fiction in
I
here.
feel like American Fiction's
official
popular.
announcement. 9 and 10 are Zone of Interest and American Fiction.
You're taking out Color Purple?
Why not?
That's fine.
We don't know about that. We don't know about that.
We haven't seen it.
For that 5th slot, though, you know, I was thinking All of Us Strangers for a while. All of Us Strangers doesn't seem to me like a movie that actually makes it into screenplay at the Oscars.
I could see it.
Like, I think people will want it to. I think there's a case for it. But a lot of times they don't go for, like, the thing you want in the category, and they kind of just go for, like, a more best picture-y thing. I remember people thinking, oh, First Cow's gonna get in. I'm thinking If Anything's will get nominated, and it's like, no. Those were not really, like, popular. Those were, like, critics-y picks. Do you remember the Oscars nominated The White Tiger over I'm Thinking of Anything's and First Cow?
Oh, yeah.
The White Tiger. I don't know where All of Us Strangers falls on that. I mean, I feel like it's not super off-putting and it could still get in, but, you know, we should consider maybe even Zone of Interest.
I was going to say, like, don't count it out. I'm not going to put it in the 5, but
I might put it in the 5. I might think it might be more likely than All of Us Strangers.
I don't think so.
If it gets into Best Picture, I think it might be just
the
a thing,
screenplay is,
they
like,
slot in.
essentially invisible.
I understand, but I still think that people might be like, well, this is a thing that was adapted and is interesting.
That's a very much a stretch for me.
It's an interesting project, like,
That's
overall.
such a stretch for me to believe, though.
Really?
Yeah.
What if it was like number 8 for picture?
I still think it's too big. The script is so not prominent. It's like not the movie. I think you got to give the edge to All of Us Strangers, even if you didn't connect with the movie, even if people you saw it with didn't connect with it that much.
A lone
And I
screenplay
remember
nomination for
thinking
that?
the dialogue was interesting and engaging.
What about The Killer?
The Killer, fuck that. No, absolutely not.
I just don't know if I can see All of Us Strangers actually popping up, because I feel like it's the pick that people who follow, like, indie movies want. The Oscars might do something
And Zone
else.
of Interest is different. Like, so, I mean,
But Zone of Interest...
I'm open to something
only
else getting
because
nominated,
Best
but not
Picture.
Zone of Interest.
Only because Best Picture, though. What if they're voting for it not necessarily just based off of, like, the dialogue or whatever?
You're twisting yourself in a pretzel to get All of Us Strangers out of there. People know who Andrew Hay is. They like him. There's actors in this movie that are recognizable. It's not like people won't watch the movie.
I am just a little skeptical. Just kind of like a May December
That's
thing.
fine.
Just
if Air
forgetting
was
Best
the
Picture.
competition, I'd be like, cool, put Air in.
Yeah, maybe
We're
me
talking
too.
about this versus Zone of Interest, man.
I weirdly am starting to be able to see it.
I can kind of see it, but it's not. It's hazy.
Is Hitman coming out this year?
I don't think so. That would get in.
I also don't know that it would get in. I'm not convinced.
That'd be fine. I think I would put it in if it.
Spider-Verse.
Oh yeah,
Doesn't feel right.
Remember Spider-Verse?
Ha.
Is that
Yeah.
going to be at the top of our in memoriam?
The Color Purple may or may not be in Best Picture, but it's a musical, and we've seen.
Wait,
them
The Color
skip
Purple?
over.
Why don't you put that in? I'm not.
They
put
skip.
that in.
They skip over musicals, bitch.
Do they?
Yeah, Les Mis didn't get nominated, and neither did West Side Story. I think The Killer's like somewhat maybe. Other than that, I think we're kind of done. You know, Origin, no. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, no. And those are our director and screenplay Oscar predictions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
What do you think is 5 for adapted screenplay?